Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast on this Friday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Lawrence Benedetto is here running the show as well. Thanks, everybody, for being with us on what is a very difficult day around the hockey world, especially Columbus, Calgary, New Jersey, all the places where Johnny Gaudreau touched during his life and his career. We're going to do our best to just kind of remember the guy that Johnny Gaudreau was. And if you've been watching through the social media and the tributes rolling in, it is very clear to see how beloved he was. If you missed the news late last night, Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew were out bicycling and were struck by a drunk driver and killed. And overnight, Greg and I were at Pearl Jam last night, got home, and I saw someone in my mentions anyway, said, "Is this Johnny Gaudreau rumor true?" I was like, "Oh, did Johnny Gaudreau get traded?" You know, your first thought, the last thing you think of is something horrible's happened.
Right, yeah.
And then you start to see all the speculation that was going on and just hoping beyond hope that it wasn't true. And literally I fell asleep with my phone on my chest because I had just been refreshing all night and then woke up to the horrible news that it was true. And it's going to be a tough show. So we're here for you guys. Whatever you want to say in the chat, feel free. And we're going to do our best to just kind of get through this and talk it out because it's tragic.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly sad. And you know, you see what's going around the internet today and what's happening in Calgary and Columbus and just kind of all the memories being shared and stories being shared about Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau and, you know, what they meant to hockey fans, what they meant to those communities that they played in, you know, the people that they interacted with, former teammates, you know, fans. It's just, it's really a testament to the people that they were. And, you know, I think it's, you know, it's the lyric "only the good die young" is tragically true in a lot of cases, and you know, Johnny Gaudreau is just seems universally loved by the hockey community and the, you know, people that gotten, you know, cross paths with him through hockey, and then, you know, also the stories coming out from about, you know, the family man that he was and that his brother was, and it's just it's an incredibly sad situation.
Yeah, it's you know, you always could tell. I mean, I've never had any personal interactions with Johnny Gaudreau. Loved him as a hockey player, a fun, exciting player, but you could tell, you know, by his teammates that he was, you know, he had an outgoing personality. You were drawn to him. And, you know, just obviously what happened is just a heartbreaking tragedy. But then when you start reading things like, you know, you can always tell how good people are in life, when people react to their death.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Gaudreau family, you know, Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew too, both beloved human beings, and that starts at home. Like you're not born a good or a bad person. You're raised either a good or a bad person. And like you hear the stories of his parents. You know, they're from the New Jersey area, outside of Philly, I believe. But they drove to Boston College for every single one of Johnny and Matthew's home games. Like they didn't miss any.
Yeah.
And then you read that like they were there to be the groomsmen in their sister's wedding today. It's just
supposed to be the wedding.
Just rips your heart out. It just like you take a horrible thing and you keep finding ways to somehow make it worse. And the fact that all of it was 100% avoidable and senseless. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, and as someone who has lost a sibling, it's like the long-term void is the thing that is hurting me the most. I'm having a hard time today, to be honest. So I'm doing my best, but like Johnny and Matthew are gone, and hopefully they didn't suffer. But that family will forever have two massive voids in their lives, and Johnny's wife and his two kids, and like, I don't know. I don't want to say that grief gets easier. It just changes. It's kind of nebulous.
Yeah.
It'll kind of hit you out of nowhere sometimes, and things like this will trigger those thoughts for you. And I just can't imagine, what at the end of last night, you saw that they had the rehearsal dinner, and Johnny's sister put a video on her Instagram that said, like, loading, soon to be Mr. and Mrs. and what was probably a joyous dinner with the family, and everybody's excited, everybody's in town, everybody's together. And then I can just imagine that phone rings and everything in an instant is changed forever. And I don't know. I don't know how I still don't know, because I don't know how my family gets through it. We just do our best and face it every day. And with all the people touched by this, it's daunting, and all I can think about is the family and the sister and the mom and the dad and the kids. It's just like, God, it's just so unfair. And like you said, Greg, so avoidable. And, driving home last night from the Pearl Jam show, I'm driving down to Dan Ryan, and like, there's just people driving 100 miles an hour, tailgating people, weaving in 3-4 lanes of traffic. Like, for what? Like, for some clout, or like, you can't be inconvenienced, you're more important than everybody else. Like, this person who made this choice, I had 5 or 6 beers, I'm going to get on the road and then try to pass 2 cars, and then basically has a road rage situation because he thinks the guy who's giving the guys on bicycles some room, he thinks he's just not letting him into the lane, so he tries to jerk over into the lane, and that's how Johnny and Matthew are killed, because some jagoff is just too important. I'm filled with rage, I'm filled with sadness, and I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many shitty parts of the story. I don't know.
The part about the details of that is like hit me a lot this morning, because we were just in Door County, and I walked my dog every morning on one of those like county roads where it's just a 2-lane thing, and pretty much everyone that was driving by was very kind and would move over to the middle lane, regardless of whether, I'm way over in the shoulder, but they were always very nice, and so to think that like that's exactly what this person was doing to help Johnny and Matthew, was to move over into the middle, and then this asshole decides
too important.
Yeah.
A string of bad decisions by an adult. I'm going to decide to go out and have a few beers after work or whatever it was. Okay. Now I'm going to decide to drive. Now I'm going to decide that I need to pass these 2 cars, because these are all decisions, not accidents, decisions made by a completely irresponsible person who has ended 2 lives long before, way too soon, and destroyed families, multiple families, his own in two. If I don't know anything about this guy, but I'm sure, he's going away for a very long time, destroying his own family. You now have young children that are going to grow up without their father.
Yep. And an uncle.
Uncle. It just a chain of events caused by a chain of bad decisions.
Yeah.
It's so it's infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a story in the New York Post about the I'm going to call him an assailant, who appeared to sigh with exasperation when he learned he'd be held in jail through the next week, because of the holiday weekend. Quote, so I'm here until Thursday, he asked the judge.
So just get you an idea of what we're dealing with.
Sorry to
here.
inconvenience you.
Yeah, that's jeez.
Hey, don't worry, buddy. You're going to be there a lot longer than just through the holiday weekend. So,
yeah, it's especially in this day and age with multiple services to find you a ride home. Doing something like that is just it's just inexcusable. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it's an adult. You know, you're supposed to be a responsible person. You're supposed to know how to be responsible in the world, be safe in the world, and it's just it's not an accident. It's a horrible decision after horrible decision, and you know, it's the families are impacted forever. You know, it's being a dad to a 2 almost 3-year-old now. You know, this morning went to bed last night hoping, you know, that the rumors were just rumors, and of course, you know, whether it had been Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau or 2 other people, it's still a tragic event. But waking up and seeing that it actually was Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew that were affected, and you know, just kind of like processing that as someone within the hockey world, and then going upstairs to, you know, get my daughter out of bed in the morning. I just took a moment to kind of sit back and think about that, and think about, you know, it's awful that moments like this kind of force you to think about, you know, life and its fragility, and you know, how you really do sometimes take moments and days for granted, and relationships for granted. And so, you know, it's tough to you know, have to be reminded in this way of, like, you know, tell the people that you care about and that you love and that are in your lives, like, that you love them, and, you know, cherish those moments you have, because you don't really know what's next. So it's just I can't imagine you know, where those families are at right now. And so, you know, you just see some of the, you know, the people in Columbus and in Calgary, you know, going to the stadiums there, and, you know, putting flowers out by the stadium, and different ways of honoring Johnny Gaudreau, and people sharing stories online. It just it's tough. And, you know, for the Blue Jackets community, like, they just went through this with another player 3 years ago with Matthias Kivlenkins, and you know, the you know, you saw again just the outpouring from the hockey community, and you know, how good of a person he was, and it's just awful.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's for a lot of the things we criticize about hockey and its culture. I will say that they do seem to rally when something tragic happens, and you really see the outpouring. And really, like, it's such a specialized sport that so many of these guys, whether they play with each other or against each other, they know each other forever. They've played against. They've been on. I was on a Mite's team with this guy, or played junior with him, or like we played against each other in college,
or they train in the off season.
Like
together.
These elite players have been playing together in showcases and things like that forever, so they all know each other.
Yeah,
and they come out, you know, when these things happen, and I hope. I mean, I know for sure Johnny Gaudreau's family will be taken care of. Actually, like, out of curiosity, like a couple months ago, I read, like, in the CBA, like, what happens if someone passes away? Just like, how would they? And all I could find was basically about like how the families will be cared for in terms of how much money they get, life insurance, and all that. I couldn't find anything about the cap because who gives a crap. But like,
Right.
it's good to know the Gaudreau family will be taken care of, and if they ever run into trouble, they have such a massive pooling of friends and everybody that are willing to help. Speaking of the hockey family, on the other side of the break zone here, we're going to share some videos and comments from friends and teammates of Johnny Gaudreau on CHGO Blackhawks. But first, we want to tell you about our friends at Rugged Road. They're dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. They're crafted to handle the toughest environments. Their coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. Their coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, but oftentimes much longer than that. They're perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, from fishing and tubing to camping and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers, reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the code CHGO for 10% off. Again, that's ruggedroadoutdoors.com, code CHGO to save 10%.
And don't forget that our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their teams always have your back with personal and fast support. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 folks.
Not to sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know Johnny Gaudreau is not to put it this way, but the more notable of the two brothers,
Sure.
Matthew and Johnny. But it's no less tragic that Matthew is also lost. This information just came across my timeline from TSN's Gord Miller. It says Matthew spent a lot of time in his older brother's shadow, but his death is no less tragic. He was on a hockey journey of his own, having moved into the high school coaching ranks. His widow, Madeline, is currently pregnant with their first child. An unimaginable tragedy on so many levels. So it's another wrinkle of information that just continues to make this.
It's just like you
such
said.
a gut punch.
It is so easy now to find a ride. It's so easy.
Yeah.
If there's not a cab nearby, call an Uber, call a friend. You don't have anyone you can call and say, "Hey, man, you know what? Got away from me a little bit. Can I come and crash at your place, or can you take me home and I'll come get my car in the morning?" It's so. Who's gonna say no to that? Oh, sorry, man, I gotta get up in the morning. No.
Or take a 12-pack home and drink at your house.
Sure, yes.
There's a million different ways that this could be done.
When we were leaving last
It's just
night,
completely
we're seeing,
irresponsible.
Guys in their mid-50s leaving a Pearl Jam show, falling over drunk.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
It's... And I don't want to say I get it, but, I've been there before. When you have sobriety and you get to look back with a clear mind, you realize you do a lot of stupid things.
Yeah.
And you also realize part of the reason you had that addiction in the first place. And it's not necessarily you're physically addicted to the, whatever the substance is, but you're also addicted to more so to the feeling you get.
Yeah.
And you feel invincible when you catch your buzz from booze or cannabis, whatever your poison is. And then you become addicted to that feeling of invincibility.
Yeah.
And it's tough to not want that. Like, as someone who has gone nearly 6 years without a drink, and somebody who polish off a bottle of Jack Daniels in a sitting, that's what I miss the most about it, is that feeling of I can do anything. And it led me to do a lot of stupid things in my youth. But as you get older, hopefully you realize that there's so much more to lose than just a night out,
right,
or a party with friends. You know, a Thursday at night in rural New Jersey, like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, if it was somebody that 19, 20 years old, it's not an excuse, but you'd at least be like, well, that person, but a 43-year-old adult.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse.
No, there's not.
It's so infuriating.
Well, and Godfather makes a good point here too. It's not just drinking and driving; it's texting and driving. And I think I'm
distracted.
Pointing some of myself. I have lapsed in that before. There have been times where I've literally thrown my phone in the trunk of my car because I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's that important, and nobody's perfect. And I just think what drives me crazy about this particular incident is the reported lack of remorse and the feeling of like, oh, well, I'm being very inconvenienced by having to stay in prison for a whole week, and the open container in the car, and just the checklist of aggressively trying to pass people, then road raging because the guy who is actually protecting the cyclists, he thinks he's trying to like keep them out of the lane. Like, this just has the makings of a bad person with bad intentions.
This is obviously not the first time this guy has done that.
There are a lot of times that maybe people have had a couple drinks too many and maybe they shouldn't have driven, and that's a mistake. And they get a DUI and they get tagged for it. Young people, it happens to all the time.
Listen, in my 20s, I'm guilty of getting behind
Sure.
the wheel of a car when I shouldn't have. Absolutely.
But it's just
Unfortunate.
the trend of I don't care, I'm more important, I got places to be and places to see, and get out of my way, I'm a motorist, that kind of a thing.
It's the lack of empathy and
no
trying,
fear of consequence.
yeah,
right.
exactly, and trying to feel like you're not better than anybody else, you're not more important than anybody else. And it's there's definitely a lack of that in this case, and it's tough. It's tough.
I don't know. I again, it's just bad judgment's one thing. Like, hindsight, I probably shouldn't have driven home last night. I had 3. I was feeling a little buzz, and it was probably not the greatest idea. It's another thing to take one in your car with you. A little road beer. Look how cool I am.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's somebody who's done.
It's not
this,
an accident.
That's somebody who's done this hundreds of times before.
And has probably bragged about it.
And
Yeah,
just
it's probably
I've
it's
never
probably
been caught.
somebody
Dude, I was
who's
so drunk last night. I can't believe I made it home.
probably somebody
Oh my
who's
God.
laughed about it before. Yeah,
And obviously someone who's not feeling any kind of remorse.
obviously.
The worst kind of people. It's always.
You're
seems
also
that-
sitting in front of a judge. Oh, so I got to be here all weekend? Ugh.
Throw him right in Gen Pop.
God.
It's just it's a shame that we have people in the world that just are so self-consumed that they have no empathy or anything. I mean, even coming to the studio today, driving in on the Kennedy, traffic's bad, but then you get people gonna swerve out and ride up on the shoulder. People who just in and out of lanes so they can get 3 feet ahead of you. You get cut off by a guy going trying to cross 3 lanes, and then 5 seconds later you've passed him because now he's stopped. And like, you know, you've got road construction crews working and people like, just you'll get where you need to go.
Right.
If you're 5 minutes late, you're still there.
This has always been my thing. Like, you're out walking on the street and someone like peels off at a red light or like zoom, like, as everyone's like, wow, look how cool that guy is. Everyone's like, jag off. Everybody hates you.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, it's not impressing anyone. You're putting, like, you see people barreling down Racine here. There's a school 2 blocks from us. There's a children's theater right at the corner. The Wonder Museum is right here. The Monster Door is right here.
Preschool that walks kids to the park across the street.
There's kids and families everywhere. And it's like, I can't figure out the mindset of people who are like, nothing matters but my experience. Nothing matters but what immediately impacts me. And what's immediately impacting me right now is I'm late, or this guy is too slow, or I have to show people how fast my car is, or whatever it is. It's an epidemic that there is just no empathy from anyone anymore. And it stretches way beyond drivers.
No.
It's this problem for these people, not my problem. Not my money, not my tax dollars. Nope.
Right.
I'm taking that for me. Like, it drives me crazy. It's just, ugh. I don't know. All right, we do want to share some of the memories from players here. Why don't we start with the video? Because I think this is the one where this is at Kevin Hayes' wedding. And maybe the first window into how beloved Johnny Gaudreau is. Is him on is he on Matthew Tkachuk's shoulders?
He's
Brady
on
Tkachuk's shoulders, and Matthew is holding him up. And he's just getting after it.
And what I love is that, like, you know, you hear from the people that knew him best and you know, talk about this video. And you know, we'll we have you know, from our friends over at What Chaos, they had Sean Monahan on earlier this week, who is going to be a member of the Blue Jackets this year and is a former teammate of Johnny Gaudreau's. And he spoke about how Gaudreau, you know, was part of the pitch to get him to play in Columbus. And you know, you hear that, you know, Gaudreau wasn't this big boisterous guy that, you know, you would expect to be on somebody's shoulders partying it up at a wedding, but he's the kind of guy that was, you know, was able to have fun in life. And you know, you hear the stories about how you know, he would prank his teammates in juniors. And you know, he just a guy that I think was, it seems, very easy to get along with, very easy to be you know, teammates with, and very easy to be around and you know, be able to enjoy life with. So I love seeing that I love seeing that video. I love hearing those kinds of stories. And it's just it's tough that it has to come out in a situation like this.
And I hope Kevin Hayes is surrounded by people that are being supportive today. You think about a guy like that, just lost his brother, you know, a couple of years ago, and now one of his best friends. Everybody has a breaking point. And I gotta imagine Kevin Hayes is very close, if not past his, with just all this grief.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's so many people like that, but he was one of the first people that popped in my head this morning.
Yeah.
Just, he's already been through so much, and now you got to say goodbye to good friends after saying goodbye to a brother. It's just, people at that age should not have to suffer that much loss. So hopefully Kevin is surrounded by loved ones and getting the support he needs, as well as, you know, I'm sure the Gaudreau family is with each other and lifting each other up. It's just, these types of things are not easy. And, you know, hopefully the people who are hurting the most are also the people that have the most support today and beyond today. You know, it doesn't just stop, you know, after a funeral. It's with you forever.
It never stops.
It doesn't. As someone who's lost a lot, I lost, you know, my life partner for 10 years. I lost a few years ago. You know, you lose parents, you lose but to lose, I can't imagine not being a father. I can't imagine what losing a child is like, and losing people. When you're young and you lose a grandparent or a great uncle, you don't really realize it. But when you start to lose people who are your own age, especially when you're young, I had a really good friend of mine, and he was on my mind a lot last night because he was a big Pearl Jam fan, and we used to work together, and we went on Pearl Jam road trips a lot. So every time I'm at a Pearl Jam show, I'm always thinking of Brian, and he, we lost him to suicide. That's got to be almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
That's why I do the suicide walk every year, and it's like that never goes away. You're always reminded. So just it's brutal.
Yeah, and anytime that topic comes up, I feel the reminder to mention the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. So if you're having those feelings, and sometimes events like this can trigger those in people, please make that call. 988 is the number if you need help in terms of those sort of things. Do we want to hit the break zone again here? All right, we're going to hear from Sean Monahan from our pals at What Chaos. He was on their show earlier this week talking about Johnny Gaudreau. That's coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. But we want to remind everybody, too, to become a CHGO diehard today. We've got a lot coming up here in the coming weeks and months. Bears season starts a week from Sunday, thank God. And we've got tailgates for every home game. So if you're going to go to one tailgate or two tailgates or, hell, all the tailgates,
you can buy a season pass.
You can. And you'd save 20%
more money.
Big time savings when you become a diehard. And what's great is you'll have your brand new CHGO shirt to wear at one of the tailgates. It'll look great out there with everybody having a good time. And, it's always an awesome time at those. We've also got takeovers, watch parties. I know we're going to have probably at least one takeover for the Hawks this year.
At least two, I think.
Working on those details always. Winter Classic will be here, so probably something around the Winter Classic is in the plans. There's a lot going on all the time here. The Chicago Fire have a takeover for when Messi's in town and Miami's in town. So go to allchgo.com.
Sitting on the bench.
It's like an incredible deal, right? It's like $100. You get a free shirt and a ticket to the game.
It's $40.
$40,
and you get a concert after that.
And the Jason Derulo concert.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's tomorrow. So,
a few tickets left, so jump in and grab those when you have the chance. And like all these things, like we said, when you're a diehard, you get to save 20% on all that stuff. All right, why don't we hear from Sean Monahan right now? This is with DJ Bean and Pete Blackburn. I believe this was Wednesday. This was
just a few days ago.
Yeah, so very, very recent. I think the interview happened maybe last week sometime and it published on Wednesday. But here's Sean Monahan of the Blue Jackets. Obviously, this is before Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau passed away. But here's what Sean Monahan had to say about his teammate.
You mentioned having friends on the team. You had to know when the list got shorter and when Columbus was in the picture that if you signed with the Blue Jackets, every fucking thing was going to be about, he did it just because of Johnny Gaudreau. So did you do it just because of Johnny Gaudreau?
No, definitely not. I mean, obviously it's...
Definitely not.
Oh, don't even like that guy.
Johnny's one of my best... Johnny's one of my best friends, and I think, to go full circle, kind of start when I was 18, 19 with him, and come back to be able to play with him again is pretty cool. And we both have sons that are, I think, 2 or 3 months apart, so they get to kind of grow up together. But I think looking at the team, you got some real solid veteran guys and a lot of young guys who are going to, like I said, step up and be a big part of this team for now and the future. And I think what I've been through in my career and the type of player and person I am, I can really help out, those guys, the organization, and move this team back to being competitive.
What's something about Johnny Gaudreau that we don't know?
He's actually a pretty quiet guy. A lot of people think he's some crazy guy, but no, he's pretty simple, and just an awesome all-around guy. Great dad, great friend, and obviously a special player.
It's if your name is Johnny, I feel like there's excitement projected on you. If you just go by John, people can think that you're reserved and dull.
Sure.
So And I mean, Johnny Hockey is a pretty loaded nickname.
I mean, he's got a lot of great highlights, but I think my favorite Johnny Gaudreau highlight was I forget whose wedding it was. Yeah. He was fucking ripping it up. It was was it Hayes' wedding?
I don't know whose it was, but it became Johnny Gaudreau's
wedding.
Yeah,
he was ripping it up. He was on somebody's shoulders. Is it Kachuk?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was on Brady Kachuk's shoulders. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was Brady. Yeah.
That's Sean Monahan on the What Chaos podcast. Make sure you check them out on their own YouTube page and on your favorite podcast app. I mean, that's just a lot of the sentiment about Johnny is like just a normal guy. And I was looking for it earlier. Some sports writer said, hey, if you've got great on ice or off ice stories about Johnny Gaudreau, share them here. And this guy shared a picture of him and Johnny Gaudreau in an ice cream shop in Colorado, and he's like, Johnny Gaudreau's in there buying 6 pints of ice cream and 6 cookies, and he said, like, what are you doing? He's like, I got a carbo load before the game against the Avalanche. So he was just filling up on ice cream and cookies, which I can get behind.
That's
but
what
like,
I'm gonna say tonight after dinner, I got a carbo load.
There you go, yeah.
But like the fact that Johnny Gaudreau, a guy whose nickname is literally Johnny Hockey, was surprised that someone recognized him in public.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's just the humble nature, and it's like what a lot of people had to say about him.
6 pints of ice cream and 6 cookies. Oh, it'll put some weight on you.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yes,
I always just remember the story of Gaudreau. I think is either at a USA camp or at the draft combine, sticking pucks in his shorts so when he weighed in so that he could weigh a little bit more than the 140 pounds or whatever he was. It kind of speaks to that, like, character of the player that he was. I mean, for being, 5'8", 160 pounds or whatever, just a small guy, in a league that does not cater to small guys.
Yeah.
He came in and had all the talent in the world, and he had to overcome that stereotype of like, small, not going to make it. Worked his ass off, and you see the highlight reel of him from Boston College, and he got to the NHL, and it translated, and he was just a stellar player, so creative, so just a guy that is one of those modern players that, like, not only for U.S. hockey, kind of paved a way for more players to look at and see a guy like that, but also for guys that are not the Eric Lindrosses and Matthew Kachucks, right, and all that stuff that you say, oh yeah, that's a hockey player. Like, you pave a way for players like that, and if you follow any hockey players on Instagram, all of them today were sharing photos and memories and all that of Gaudreau, and two that stuck out for me were Trevor Zegras on Instagram posted a picture of him. That's young Trevor Zegras holding one of Johnny Gaudreau's, I believe, game-used sticks.
That's cool.
And then Zegras, I mean, he's one of those guys that, again, is not the biggest guy, but supremely talented and skilled. And another guy within the U.S. program that I'm sure and has said before that Johnny Gaudreau was one of the players he looked up to was Cole Caulfield. Again, a small guy, but supremely skilled. And he posted today, said, it's hard to read the caption there, but it says, always my hero. Just a cool picture of him and Gaudreau there together. And, you talk a lot about guys like, Patrick Kane, of course, as, an American hockey icon, but Johnny Gaudreau had a big impact on some of the guys coming up now through the U.S. hockey system and just in the NHL. And as a skilled player that had to kind of work extra hard just because you weren't 6'3", 200 pounds. So as a smaller guy myself that plays hockey, I always appreciated a guy on the ice like Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah. Do we find? Yeah, we got the ice cream picture. I found it. It says this caption says, randomly met Johnny earlier this year at an ice cream shop. He came in and ordered a gallon of ice cream and 6 cookies. Said he was carbo loading for his game against the Avs. He was shocked I recognized him, but took the time to chat with me and take this pic. he seems like a really great guy. Devastating news for the hockey world. So that was shared by Evan Rawal, Rawal on X.
He's Evan's a Avalanche reporter.
Yeah,
I
so
believe.
I think Evan is the one who shared the Friends post.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah,
gotcha.
But I mean, it's that. Do you have the one with I sent you two of Matthew Tkachuk? I just think like all these pictures just kind of capture the way guys feel about Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah.
You know, those are two genuine smiles of two good friends just kicking ass together. Frankly, you know.
Yeah. And you remember, obviously it wasn't that long ago, but you remember when both of those guys left Calgary and the way that they both were kind of talked about when they left Calgary, but life will kind of take the veil off of sports, and you see the honors that Calgary fans and everything gave, are giving to Johnny Gaudreau and what like that. It's we take sports super seriously, and when players come and go, you feel different ways about them, but at the end of the day, all that human element will always persist. So it's good to see, knowing that change in Johnny's career was not that well received in Calgary. It's still that is just a sports thing. It's not a human thing.
Yeah, and speaking of the human thing, the one picture that like this morning I had never seen before till today, but it really hit hard when I saw it. Is a picture of Johnny and his lovely wife Meredith right before the birth of their second child. This had to be this past holiday season, and she's holding up her sweatshirt, showing off the big belly, and Johnny's got his,
yeah.
I just had a gallon of ice cream. Look at my belly.
Exactly.
But it's just like moments like that. It's just, I think Lawrence is, gonna get the picture up so you guys can see it. But it's just that's the human element. You have to remember, like, for a lot of people, it's like they lost their favorite hockey player today, and that's a big deal. Like, it
does matter too.
There are people like some people get all weirded out. Like, how are you crying over the death of somebody you don't know? But these people, whether it's a hockey player or a musician or a movie star or whatever, you become friends with these people even though you've never met them. They're there during your happiest moments, and in a lot of cases they're there for you and helping you get out of your darkest moments.
They provide those outlets too.
But then you see picture like this. There's the picture I was talking about. You have to remember that it's not just people's favorite hockey player that's gone. It's a husband, it's a father, a brother, a son, a nephew.
Like when that horn sounds, he would come home. It was two kids and his wife, and
it's everything about this is just absolutely brutal. I see a lot of the comments, and we appreciate that, people sharing their own experiences. It's always an open invitation. Anybody out there, if something like this is opening old wounds or causing any kind of thing, just so everybody knows. I know I've said it before, but part of the reason I share a lot of my past experiences is because I want people to know that you're never alone.
Yep.
And my messages are always open. If you're feeling, you just want to talk to somebody, you just want to get someone off your chest, feel free to send a message or even a social media message.
Yeah.
I get those from time to time. People that say, you're talking about your sobriety and going through grief. It means a lot to people. That's why I share it. So the DMs are always open. If you're hurting today and just want to get something off your chest, I'll be happy to be that ear for you.
I think same for the three of us. And we get messages all the time too from people who are just saying like, your show has really been a bright spot. And we're like, what is talking about hockey and calling people budwax? Like, you know what I mean? But it's just the distraction. I think that's why fans feel a connection to players because for 2 hours and 45 minutes, 82 times a year, you get to take your mind off of stuff, take your mind off of work and the stress and whatever and financial things and just sit down and watch hockey. And when people talk to us about like, man, how do you go through a 82 game season with a team that bad? Because it's hockey.
Right.
It's hockey. Like it brings me joy in all of its forms. You know what I mean? And it is hard to not like feel connected to those guys. Like when I was younger, you do feel like you know these guys, and I don't know. I totally get the hockey fan grief, and again, like we said early in the show, there is no wrong way to grieve. However you're feeling, whatever that feeling that's coming out of you is, it's real.
Yeah. And
lean into it and feel it. That's okay. And again, if this has opened up any bad feelings for people, 988 is the crisis and suicide prevention hotline. So just dial that up and talk to somebody if you need it. All these things spark a lot of things in a lot of people, and it's okay. But just know, like Greg said, you're not alone. There's always people available for you to talk to. Somebody cares. Somebody cares out there. And if no one else, we do. Hit us up. We're happy to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some people in the past reach out to us individually, and even this CHGO Blackhawks account, and sometimes it's to call us stupid and other names, and sometimes it's to share stories and experiences and be an outlet. And so we're all people who have gone through different experiences in life and different challenges, and we're all open to share that and help in any ways that we can, whether it's just doing this show or maybe sending an extra message or two or whatever, having a conversation. We try to be open for that. And I know this is today I even come getting ready to leave for work today to do the show. I was kind of just like, I was just like, is this going to be even like, how is this going to, not knowing how it's going to go, thinking like, should we even do a show today? Is it worth it? But I think, it's you see in the chat people, sharing their own experiences, their own, memories of Johnny Gaudreau and stories and all that. And I think it's part of, a community feel. And it goes back to sports community, hockey community, as much as we on the show have said sometimes about, how hockey culture can be problematic at times. It's nothing if it isn't a brotherhood or sisterhood, however you view it. But it's that community, this community is like that, and it's good that it can be like that.
I want to mention something. Eris Mix 23 with a comment, and it kind of sparked my memory on this. They say, as a Hawks fan in Ohio, I was thrilled when Johnny signed in Columbus. He was a true star that chose Ohio. We are devastated. And when that happened, a lot of people were like, Columbus? Yeah. Why would Johnny Gaudreau go to Columbus?
It was a big deal.
And his whole thing was like, the fans, the community, the opportunity for my family, like all this stuff. And you're like, okay. It was not about making the most money or having the biggest spotlight.
Energized that entire franchise, who was just overcoming another tragedy.
Right.
Yeah. That was the same summer, I believe.
And going through a rebuild and all that.
Yeah, it energized a franchise and a fan base to, I know feels silly talking about, the on ice stuff, but it really did spark that fan base. They were excited. It was the first time a star chose to go to Columbus, to be, a star in his prime, to be a difference maker.
Right.
And it was I remember that day when he signed there, there was, I think a lot of people thought he was going to go play for the Devils, because being from New Jersey, being from that area, it felt like, and you have to go play for your hometown team.
Right.
But he also filled a need, and it was like all of a sudden, Johnny Gaudreau signed 7-year deal with the Blue Jackets. I'm like, haha, April Fools, whatever. So yeah. It's
big.
It's going to be something that it's going to take the Blue Jackets as an organization a long time to recover from everything that Johnny Gaudreau brought to the table. It leaves a void that just will never be completely filled.
No, I want to read a statement here from Johnny's father, Jim. Put this out. It said, last night we lost 2 husbands, 2 fathers, 2 sons, 2 brothers, 2 sons and brothers-in-law, 2 nephews, 2 cousins, 2 family members, 2 teammates, 2 friends, but truly 2 amazing humans. We want to let everyone know we're receiving your messages of love and support, and we appreciate your continued thoughts and prayers. We ask for your continued respect and privacy during this very difficult period of grief from all of our families and from the bottom of our hearts, the Gaudreau, Morris, Corbetts, Vanello, and Joyce families. So that's from Jim Gaudreau, Johnny's dad, and it's like incredibly well written and poetic for a guy who I can't imagine what he's going through right now.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'm glad we did a show today. I'm glad we were able to provide an outlet for people. And I know, Johnny didn't really have a connection to the Blackhawks, but like we've been saying, like the hockey world is a small world. And I also saw, man, I should have saved this one. I don't know. I was just kind of rifling through social media. A girl posted a photo. She had access like downstairs at a Hawks game, and she like walked too far, so she got to at the time the Calgary clubhouse, and she's in her Hawks jersey. And Johnny Gaudreau came out and took a picture with her, and he's giving a thumbs down. But then he walked her over to the Hawks side and called Hawks players out.
That's
Like
cool.
Michael Frolik came out and took a picture with her.
That's cool.
After she got lost in the bowels of the United States. So Johnny Gaudreau, all-star Johnny Hockey, was the guy to like say, "Oh, let's take a funny picture together,
Right, yeah.
and then let's go and we'll I'll get you to meet your heroes here." So I don't know, just stuff like that. You hear stuff like that all the time.
That's awesome.
About Johnny Gaudreau. So
yeah, and kind of to piggyback on what you said earlier, Mario, about like today was a show I was dreading, but now that I feel better. Like,
yeah,
I don't feel good, but I feel better that like sometimes all you need to do is talk it out and get your feelings out there. Once you put your feelings out in the universe, you'll feel better. And it seems like today was a group therapy session for a lot of people. So we definitely appreciate all you guys joining us today, and all of you who are listening to the podcast. It's days like today that remind you that, life is more about, it's more than just the final score. And you're in a community. The hockey world is a community. Yeah, there's rivalries. There's hatred in between the whistles. But when it's all said and done, it's human beings living their lives. And 2 bright lives were tragically lost. And, to the Gaudreau family, just I can't imagine, but, you guys are in all of our thoughts. And Johnny and Matthew are going to be missed for a long, long time by a lot of people.
100%. I was able to find that tweet. This is from @KaylinMiss on Twitter. It says, "I accidentally went down the wrong tunnel after the Hawks Flames game in 2018. Met Johnny, and he got out some past Hawks players like Frolik from the dressing room to make me feel better. He was so nice, man." And there's a picture of her and Gaudreau with Johnny wearing an Eagles jersey, giving the thumbs down, and then Michael Frolik with her.
I wonder if this was like Super Bowl week or something.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. So
that's fun.
That looks like Calgary, actually.
Yeah, that might be Calgary.
Yeah, that doesn't.
That's not.
No, that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
look
not the
like the
United
United Center. But
anyway,
still pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very. I'm sure there are thousands of stories like that people will be sharing.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It was Jay Fresh asking people to share those stories.
Yeah.
So if you go find our friend Jay
that.
Fresh at Jay Fresh Hockey on Twitter, he's retweeting and sharing a lot of these. So
yeah, just go through the replies and the quote tweets of that one, and you're gonna see tons of stories about Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, and their impacts, on and off the ice. And it's again, circle back around. It's a testament to the people that they were and the family that they grew up with and the community that was around them. And it's terrible to know that they're not going to be around anymore and part of those communities.
All right. I think we've said all we can say. I think we're all kind of mentally and physically exhausted after prepping for this one and doing this one. So we're going to wrap up a few minutes early, but we will be back Monday. Tuesday, right. That's right. We got the holiday on Monday.
Tailbag Tuesday.
That's right. Tailbag Tuesday. So we'll put out a tweet Sunday or Monday getting your mailbag questions in. Always, if you're a diehard, hit up the Discord and submit your questions that way. Speaking of that, we tried a couple weeks ago to encourage people to record a video on the Discord and leave it for our questions so we could throw you on the show.
Yeah,
they're also doing the same thing for the 85 podcast for Cole Kmet. So if you have a question for Cole Kmet, leave a video in the Discord there, and they'll try to answer it on the show for you. I think Cole's going to handle that separately from the podcast. It's going to be its own, like, Cole's mailbag sort of a thing. I already submitted my question. It's why are you so handsome? And hopefully he answers it. We'll see. I'd like to get his tips. If it involves working out, I'm not interested.
If Cole doesn't answer your questions, we will. It's a nice consolation prize.
Is he going to give you his love for Navy and the history of the midshipmen?
I should do that. Why does Notre Dame play Navy? We can give everybody a history lesson. And thanks for the reminder.
We did that once already.
Go Irish. There we go. All right, we'll talk to everybody Tuesday at 2:30 right here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.